This is Texas Throw'em by Misspelled. So, what I'm going to be going over is the loot, firmware, specializations, skills, and how to use this build. If you saw my video of Thol, uh, then this is the optimized version of that build. And I'll be going over what optimizations and why. So, loot. The Hot Slugger, the Watch for Dinner, and the Jacobs Enhancement are necessary. They are absolutely necessary for this build to function. The Piercer on the Jacobs Enhancement is absolutely 100% needed because our crit hit chance outside of Windfall is very bad. And if we are not using the crit knife, it is like necessary to get as much crit hit chance as possible. The Hot Slugger and the Watch for Dinner are going to be used for stacking Fortune, and the CUV Jacobs gun that I have and the Watch for Dinner are going to be used for stacking the class mod, which I'll go into later. The Kill Spring is for survivability. I have Leech. I like Leech. More survivability, more sustain. The Bismuth Tipped Dagger is for our main damage source is going to be a corrosive source from our action skill. Cyclone I recommend because it is Jacob's CUV. It's easy to farm, and it's from the same DLC as Cash, so it's guaranteed you have access to this whenever future DLCs come out. If there's a better gun, or if there's a better gun in the game already, you can use that. Just personal choice. Firmware and specializations, we are very reliant on Groundbreaker, Skillcraft, and I am gun and bear arms. Those four are very, very necessary because we are going to get a bunch of gun damage from our enhancement and our skill trees. We are going to have to convert a lot of that into skill damage and melee damage. And then firmware for Steelcraft, the skill damage is nice, yes. The lifesteal, the damage reduction is nice from Rubber Band Man. But the skill crit hit chance is what we really, really want. Groundbreaker can crit based off skill crit chance. We have 10% here. But if you can get more, I would love to see it. The bonus connect melee damage is going to be a large source of our damage because we can scale it very high based off of just doing damage with our action skill and our class mod, and by buffing our melee damage. So, skill tree and class mod. So the class mod is the new one from Subjugator and Thol, the Prestidigitator. The required points in this are 5 out of 5 Tendered Hearts, for reasons I will cover shortly, and a Bloodstained Moon, for more reasons I'll cover shortly. The fixed roll for this is gun crit hit chance, which is very good. So we have more gun crit hit chance. Huckleberry and the other green one, it's a dump stat, dump roll, whatever. Melee damage, skill crit chance, action skill damage, gun damage even. Those are probably the best rolls that you can get. I'd recommend melee or skill damage or skill crit hit chance. Those are the highest and the most impactful rolls that you can get. And then these white starred skills are the important ones that I would cover here. Alchemy, late scratch, and vigorous are going to be our main ways of getting fortune stats. This is more bonus elements based off of our action skill doing damage, which we're going to have corrosive, fire, cryo. Yeah, that's about it. I think that's it. And kinetic from the magic missile card. Alchemy is elemental fetch, so applying elemental effects as fortune stats. Sounds of Rain is for more crit hit chance outside of Windfall, and even during Windfall. Um, Devil's Times we need for the augment slot. And then our main like functioning points in this build are going to be No Limit, Anti-Up, and Tender Hearts. Tender Hearts is 160% crit hit damage, which is its skill tree crit, which is doubled. No idea why. This action skill critical hit chance during Windfall is going to be 60% from this skill because our Windfall bonuses are doubled from an augment that we pick up. No Limit and Anti-Up are going to be scaling our gun and skill damage astronomically. We go from like 100% to like 700% just by picking up these two skills. And then that's also going to apply to our melee, our gun, and our action skill. Basically, just get these; they're good. And COV is interesting because anti-up will still get the match bonus. Augments. So the cowboy, the class mod that we are using is going to throw cards in Windfall whenever we crit, or has a chance to whenever we crit. The cowboy and the cooler are two cards that we need to spec for this. Cowboy is going to do a lot of our damage, and the Windfall, whenever we trigger Windfall, our action skill is recharged automatically, which is very, very nice if we already used it, or it's just on cooldown, whatever. Double Windfall bonuses is necessary for the crit hit chance, and it also, when thrown, or thrown by our class mod, can proc Groundbreaker at a range, which is necessary for some bosses. You can't always get close, and that means that in order to proc Groundbreaker, we have to throw the cooler, because Slippy doesn't do it. We can't melee the boss, so it's our only way of proccing one of our main damage sources. These are like 5 out of 5 stars. Is like you absolutely need this for this build to function at all. Interactions, I covered this a little bit earlier, but No Limit and Anti-Up are going to be a lot of our damage scaling. When we scale our damage, we are going to have 1 in the mag for the Hot Slugger, and the game counts COV as 1 in the mag for our COV weapons. And that means we get the max bonus because anti-up is based off of our mag and our fortune stats. Windfall cycling is a very, very important part of our build. It is how we do damage. We can reload with a Hot Slugger and Late Scratch, or pop our action skill with Late Scratch to get fortune stats. And then CUV and J plus Alchemy is also for very fast fortune stats, while we're also stacking our class mod, the Prestidigitator, stats based off of crits that happen outside of Windfall. The Vigorish, Watch for Dinner, and Fast Fire and Multiple Projectile weapons like the Cyclone can stack very, very fast, combined with our Jacob enhancement and Sounds of Rain. And other crit hit chance you might have if you decide to go the crit knife route. The crit knife is nice, yes, but you get more damage out of it using the bismuth tip dagger. And then Groundbreaker. So Groundbreaker is interesting. It counts as skill damage, which means you can crit based off of skill damage, and it scales based off of skill and melee damage. Our action skill is going to be building our Groundbreaker, and then we're going to use the cooler or melee to detonate it. And then this is the tech that I have discovered messing around with Prestidigitator over the last couple of days, the Royal Flush. So it is the RNGest of RNG damage methods in this game. Whenever you luck out in Windfall, and you throw a ton of cards very, very fast, you are performing the Royal Flush, I guess. The gamble of this too, like besides it just getting procced and staying procced, is which card it chooses, because you will throw out like 10, 20 cards at like in the span of a second or two. And it's always one card. It doesn't change in between throws because it doesn't have time to. Um, the reason we want a Cowboy is because it's the highest damage card in Cash's skill tree. It does like, I don't even know the number, but it's like 11,000, 17,000 per Nova, and there's like 11 or 14 Novas. It's a lot. Uh, so that's very important. And the why. So the why of this interaction is what I've been trying to find out for the last day. And I think I've gotten it. By critting outside of Windfall, you build up stats up to 50, and then you spend those stats in Windfall. Specifically by critting, the source or type of crit does not matter as long as you are critting. 20% of your current stats are used when a card is thrown by the class mod, not by you, by the class mod. So you still throw cards normally, and it won't consume stats. But the stat limit and the card throw limit is like somewhat bypassed by this weird interaction. I think that's to do with tick rate. It also could be due to frame rate, but that needs to be tested more. The Tender Hearts is the second part of this. So Tender Hearts is 60% chance to crit with our cards during Windfall and more, thanks to other skill points and firmware and things like that. And critting extremely fast is what triggers the class want to do a Royal Flush. So having different elements. So Watch Veneer is a bonus element. Status effects. The Cowboy card doing all of its Novas. Multiple enemies. Basically, all of those crits can trigger this. The Cowboy is the best because of the amount of times it hits and the fact that it does the most damage, which is amazing. To optimize this, you want to try and get a decent distance from your enemy. So like, I'd say 10 meters at the most is you want to be away. Anything closer or farther is inconsistent or dangerous. A high caliber could help with this. I just am not willing to give up the amount of like damage and healing that we have right now for high caliber for more consistency. If you want to and it helps, go for it. 2, having multiple enemies that are being crits. So if you have multiple enemies in your like line of sight that are critting, I think it registers those crits more often than if you have an enemy outside of your line of sight that's being crit. It's weird because it seems like during my like 100+ boss kills of Subjugator and Thol with this build, it seemed to be more consistent whenever Subjugator or Thol is in line of sight with another enemy. On my screen specifically, like I'll be critting enemies behind me from stats effects or the fireball card or things like that, but it doesn't register necessarily. It's weird. This whole thing's weird. And that also ties into the crosshair. You want to be hitting them. The cards are thrown out through your crosshair. They hit where your crosshair is. So more crits, more chances. You get the gist. This is, I'm going to show you a capture of an isolated thing. It's going to be really bad quality. For some reason, it's not like this in my game, I promise. But you see, I'm only hitting one enemy here, and it still did it. So it's definitely not reliant on multiple enemies, but it's definitely better to have multiple enemies in your crosshair and in your line of sight. So the loop that you're going to want to follow is build Prestidigitator stats and fortune using your preferred method. Then trigger Windfall through Action Steal or Hot Slaughter. And then you want to pray with all your might that you gamble and you get a Royal Flush. With the Cowboy card specifically. Other cards do decent damage. Cowboy is just the best. If you're not already active, use your action skill until you have the cooler, because during a Royal Flush, your card does not change type, which means that you need to trigger Groundbreaker manually sometimes. Sometimes it will throw out the cooler randomly after like the Royal Flush is done, and trigger it for you, but you do not want to throw it while the Royal Flush is happening. The Groundbreaker will proc, and then if you still have stats left over, shoot. Either with the Hot Slugger, which could trigger another Royal Flush. I've seen it happen before if you have enough stats left. Or your COV Jacob's done. Which, thanks to crit hit chance from all of ours, is going to crit hit a lot. And then this is an example kill. I will pull up a better clip of this real quick. So this is True UVH7 Timekeeper, second phase. I think outside of raid bosses, this is the most health in the game. So I'm trying to hit Windfall, I'm reloading, Windfall, I throw my Cowboy, boom. I threw my cooler a bit early there, but I managed to get another one. I shoot up with Vigorish, and I proc another Groundbreaker for an easy kill. Now, this build is not that consistent. It is not, like, crazy reliable. I don't even think I threw my knives there. But you probably could have done him in, like, one Royal Flush with knives there. But yeah. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions, comments, like feedback, anything, leave it down below if you really want to. I'll reply to some comments. I don't promise all. And this is just a fun project. It's my first ever build video, so it's rough. And thank you to the BO4 creators that cover this game, and the members of the Soup Kitchen, the science community of Borderlands, for helping me with this build and giving me feedback. I might do some Destiny stuff in the future. I also play Destiny, so the stuff in the June update might be pretty cool to cover if I feel like it. Thank you, and I will see y'all hopefully another time.